Hey guys, in this video I'll be showing you how to get faster at the cross through some intermediate and advanced cross techniques. If you're just getting started with CFOP, F2L is probably your bottleneck, but once you kind of get the hang of that, then I think the cross is a really good place to start trying to get faster and be more efficient. The cross techniques I'm going to be teaching you should help you get down to a sub 2-second cross with a bit of practice. So the first and most basic thing that we can do is start practicing solving the cross on the bottom, holding the white side on the bottom when we're solving the cross. This is because when we do F2L, we hold the cross on the bottom. So instead of solving it on the top and then doing a cube rotation, it's more efficient to just start solving the cross on the bottom to begin with. And it also helps us with recognition when we're actually looking ahead to solve our first F2L pair. So here's an example. If I have this cross, I'm not going to hold the cube like this. I'm going to hold the white center on the bottom, and then I'm just going to solve this cross pretty easily like that, just on the bottom. It takes a while to get used to, but eventually you get the hang of it, and it's not too bad. And make sure to take advantage of actually looking ahead at the top layer to look for your first F2L pair. The next really important technique is going to be learning how to solve the cross misaligned and then aligning it at the end. So what I mean by this is if I see this scramble right here, I'm not just going to go for the red first because it's already aligned and then start looking for the other ones, like go for this blue maybe. Instead, I'm going to look at all of the cross pieces and notice that there's a green here and a blue here that are aligned with respect to each other, because on the cube, green and blue are opposite colors and then orange and red are opposite. So actually, yeah, so the green and blue are aligned. So I can insert the green like this and the blue like this. They're not aligned with the centerpieces yet, but like if we were to align them, you'd see that they're solved. But we don't need to do that yet, so let's continue solving the rest of the cross. So once you insert the green and blue, then actually now it kind of makes sense to align it, solve the red here, and then we can solve the orange. Here's another case where this is a really useful technique. You notice that all of the three cross pieces are solved except for this one right here. So instead of trying to take this out into the top layer and inserting it here, what we could instead do is misalign the cross like this so that the empty slot is right underneath this red edge, which we insert easily, and then we can realign the cross. It's really important to learn the color scheme of the cube. For example, knowing that red always is on the right of blue when white is on the bottom. If you kind of know that, and then you know that red and orange are opposites, blue and green are opposites, and then yellow and white are opposites, then you kind of have an idea of where all of the edge pieces should go without having to look at the centerpieces. For example, we have this case, right? I notice there's this green here that should be opposite of the blue, so we can move it opposite of the green and then insert this green. And then I notice this red here. This is in the correct position because I know from the color scheme that red should be on the left of green and to the right of blue. So I can insert this green right here without having to align the cross first. And I could align the cross now, but I also notice that there's this orange and white edge piece here. So before I align the cross, I can also move this up so that it lines up. But this is just a bit of a shortcut. And then I can align the cross like this, so all the colors are lined up, and then just insert the orange at the end. Learning to solve the cross misaligned might not click right away. It might take you a bit of practice, but stick to it, keep trying to practice it, and again, the color scheme is very important. Here is a quick shortcut. You know that red and orange are opposites, blue and green are opposites. So if you see blue on a green centerpiece and your red edge next to a orange centerpiece, then you know that at the end you just have to do a D2 to align the full cross if you insert them like this. So we notice that this orange and this blue and red are all in alignment if I was to insert them like this. And then I could just do a D2 to line up these three. But before I do that, I'm actually also going to solve this green, because as I'm doing my D2, I know that my empty slot is going to come right below the green, so I can insert that and then align everything at the end. Now getting into some more of the nitty-gritty, we're going to be talking about good and bad edges and how to convert bad edges into good ones. A good edge is anything that can be brought into the bottom layer with only one move. For example, this blue, we can just bring it into the bottom layer like that, just one move. It won't be aligned, but we don't really need to worry about the alignment at the moment because the alignment will be changing like as we solve the cross. And of course, if the blue is up here, this is also considered a good edge because we can just do an R2 prime or R2, and it's the same thing as just doing one move. Same with if the blue is on the left side here, this would be considered a good edge as well. A bad edge would be like this orange one where we can't really bring it into the bottom layer without doing two moves. We could do something like this F prime and then an L to bring it in like this. That is two moves, so we don't really consider it a good edge. So what we want to do is actually convert this orange into a good edge while we're solving the rest of the cross. So if we have this scramble, for example, let's say I wasn't converting it into a good edge. I was just leaving the orange as it is. Then I'm going to try to solve the blue. I misalign the cross, insert the blue with one move, realign the cross, and I've got my blue. And now I'm going to try to solve the orange. And then now I have to look into solving the orange. I use a lot of extra moves there. But what if instead, before we inserted the blue here, we instead brought the orange on top of this layer. So then when you insert the blue, which you were already going to do, we can also just insert the orange because that converts the orange into a good edge. Do you notice that? See how it's technically a bad edge here, but as you do an R prime to insert the blue, this is now a good edge because you can just do an F to insert it. And then we can align the whole cross. So really converting a good edge into a bad edge is just when you notice an edge in the top layer like this, and you're going to insert an adjacent edge piece down like this, just move it into the top layer so when you insert it, becomes easier to insert later on. In beginner's cross, you're used to thinking about just solving one edge at a time, but with these more intermediate concepts, we start to think about solving multiple edges at once and how everything fits together. For example, I'm not just going to solve this blue first, I'm actually going to look around the rest of the cube, look for the other edge pieces first, and notice that there's an orange that I can insert along with the blue so that when I align it, it also aligns the orange. And the only reason I'm aligning it is because I know that the red is also aligned, so I can easily align this, put the red in, and then I've got this green that's left over. So yeah, the green I can just insert by lining it up and inserting it like that. So yeah. Okay, let's look at another example. So I look at this cross, I see that the green is already solved. Well, it's on the bottom layer, it needs to be aligned. The blue can be easily solved like this so that it's aligned with the green. But before I do that, I look at this orange and I want to find a way to solve the orange. So I know I'm going to move the blue to the right and insert it down like with an R prime. So we could convert this to a good edge if I move this out of the way first, so that when I move the blue over, then this gets converted into a good edge, and it's also in the correct alignment because I know orange goes to the left side of blue, because if you look at the centerpiece, is orange on the left of blue, right? So then I can insert this orange right here. And then my red is already aligned, so I just have to align these three edge pieces and just insert the red. It's definitely really complicated and it takes some time to wrap your head around. So don't worry if you're slow at the beginning, just really focus on the edge pieces and inspecting all of them, trying to come up with a good solution. Here's another example. I see this blue edge piece here and the red one I could insert because it's going to be aligned with it. But before I insert that, I'm going to try to look around the cube. I see this green. I'm like, I could probably convert this green into a good edge if I move it on top of the red. Then when I bring the red down, which I was going to do anyway, it actually brings the green into alignment and it's in the correct spot and it's a good edge. So I can easily insert it with the one move and it's aligned with the blue and the red. And actually before I do that, I might also just do a U prime to bring the orange over. Then I insert this so that I can just do a D2 to solve the orange and then a D to align everything. So you can start to really chain these concepts and it starts to become a bit more complex. Now the last tip that I have for you is using your inspection time wisely. If you didn't know, when you go to an official WCA competition, you get 15 seconds to inspect your cube before you start solving it, before you start the timer. So if you're not already doing this, start planning out how you want to solve the cross before you start solving the cube. So for this, I'll probably insert the green first, which will line up the red here that I'll insert. And then I can easily insert the blue or the orange, then the blue. So it would look a little something like this. And it would line everything up as well. So yeah, plan it out in your head because that will also help you look ahead for your first F2L pair. Anyway, that was it for this intermediate advanced CFOP cross tutorial. If you guys found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.